All right, let's take a look at Revelation 20 and show clearly that the 1,000 years is happening now. Okay, so first let me highlight 1,000 years so it stands out a little bit. Okay, so we see that word mentioned 6 times, right? And he laid hold on the dragon, the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So this 1,000 year period is happening right now, and so it's important to understand that the dragon has been bound right now, and we know that because Jesus died and rose from the dead and defeated death, and now uh, those of us who believe in Him, we will never die. So there's these chains around the devil. The devil can't touch us. Now, when the devil is let loose from his prison, this is when we are lifted up in the air. This is the return of Jesus Christ. And we are lifted up to meet the Lord in the air. And the devil, Satan, that old serpent, the dragon, is let loose. And the way I equate it is like let's say you have a pit bull, you let your pit bull let loose, and he'll go tear up whatever it is that's bugging him. You let him go, and he just starts ripping stuff apart. Okay, basically, that's what happens at the end of the 1,000 years. It's also referred to many times as the wrath of God. Okay, and um, verse 4 talks about they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. Okay, so first of all, it's talking about they lived and reigned with Christ. It's not talking about Christ reigning 1,000 years. It's talking about they, which is us, the believers, the saved, those that are born of the Spirit of God. Now, those of us that are saved, we're not going to live 1,000 years and it's over. We have everlasting life. We will never die. We will live forever. And Christ doesn't reign 1,000 years. His kingdom, there is no end. Right? So either way you look at this, if you're saying this happens after the return of Jesus Christ, you got it wrong. Right? And then verse 5, but the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. Now, this goes along with what Daniel says concerning the return of our Lord Jesus Christ, the great day of the Lord, when many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. All right, you get that? So on Judgment Day, we are resurrected, changed into our glorified bodies. Okay, let's do it this way here. I'm not sure if that's right. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it does not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. This is talking about when Jesus comes in the clouds of heaven and we are lifted up to be with the Lord. Okay, beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it does not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, when he come in the clouds of heaven, we shall be like him. for we shall see him as he is. Right? And so the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years are finished. Okay, so when Jesus comes in the clouds of heaven, this is Judgment Day. This is the great day of the Lord. This is when everybody is judged. The saved are transformed into the glorified bodies, and then the unsaved are destroyed forever. Okay, this is Judgment Day. Pretty simple. Right? Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power. Think about this. Jesus says many times that we have everlasting life. And when he's talking to Martha, let's see, let's do it this way. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Right? So Martha says, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Right? Talking about Lazarus. There he is. See, he'd been dead for 4 days. So, and Martha says, well, I know that he'll rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Well, she says that because she knows that Jesus, or that the Christ, I should say, is going to resurrect us on the last day. And Jesus says, makes it very clear to her who he is. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life, saying, I am the Christ. I am that person who will resurrect the dead on the last day. The last day. All right. I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. The second death has no power over us because we shall never die. On such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Now, we could go back to the Old Testament and show that the children of Israel, the children of God, are the holy priesthood, the chosen people. But let's go to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood and holy nation. So he's not saying you're going to be a royal priesthood. He is saying you are a royal priesthood right now. And we are called to preach the gospel. Okay. And so, let's see right there. And preaching Jesus, well, let's see. We are, in this gospel, the kingdom shall be preached, right? So we're preachers. We are the priesthood. All right. So we are priests of God and Christ right now. And we shall reign with him 1,000 years. Well, why does it say 1,000 years? Well, it's pretty simple because we are in this flesh right now. We are in this body, and this body that we are in right now will not go forever. We will not be in these bodies forever. There is coming a time when this world will come to an end, just like we read in John 11, the last day. Even Martha knew there's coming the last day. So the last day means there's an end to this time period. Okay, and at the end of this time period, everything is made new. All right, so we are in a time frame. We are in a time period. This world is coming to an end, and that's coming to an end at the end of the 1,000 years. And the last day is when Jesus comes in the clouds of heaven, and we that are saved are lifted up to meet the Lord and be forever with the Lord, and those down below will be destroyed. Okay, when the 1,000 years are expired, the pit bull is let loose, and he's just going to gather together the unsaved. Okay, I'm trying to paraphrase. I'm doing it. I should probably just read it, but basically that's what Satan's going to gather the unsaved together, and they are all going to be destroyed. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. This is this is so clear, so simple. The last day, when Jesus comes in the clouds of heaven, this is the last day, the judgment day, the great day of the Lord. This is when we are lifted up to be with the Lord, and those unsaved will be at our feet, just like what we read in Revelation 3. And let me read it. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. So, this is when Jesus comes in the clouds of heaven. We are lifted up to be with the Lord, and our enemies will be at our feet. I will make them to come and worship before thy feet. All right, pretty simple stuff, and trying to make a short story long here, it sounds like, but let's go. Let's do it this way. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Right? Again, this is consistent with the whole entire Bible. Right? For this corruptible must put on incorruption. This is talking about the saved. Okay, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. And this, I could go on and on. So this is very, very clear, right? So what happens is, you'll notice here, okay, so after fire comes down from God out of heaven and devours them, and the devil is thrown into the lake of fire, and this is the very same day, okay, the great white throne, which is Jesus Christ. There should be no doubt about it. And this phrase, earth and heaven fled away, is consistent with what we read in Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21. You just got to be able to connect the dots, right? And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, for they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven, right? And this is immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, right? And the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. So this is parallel with what we read here in verse 11, Revelation 20. Heaven fled away, whose face the earth and heaven fled away. All right, it's the same event, the same thing. All right, it's worded different, but it's the same thing. You just got to be able to connect the dots. And of course, the dead, small and great, stand before God. This is Judgment Day. So when Jesus comes in the clouds of heaven, this is the Judgment Day. All right, he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. Judgment Day, the last day, the great day of the Lord. All right. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, the death and hell were delivered up the dead which were in them, just like what we read in Matthew. Okay. Some that sleep will, let's see if I can, right there it is. Many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. All right. So This is all consistent with the entire Bible. This is not a one-time special, right? This is not, this 1,000 years is consistent with everything in the Bible. To believe otherwise is to believe this chapter 20 differentiates from the rest of the entire Bible, and it's not so. The 1,000 years is right now.